Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're rediving into a fascinating world where everyday pocket change can actually be worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars. That's right, we're talking about rare US coins, the kind of coins collectors dream of finding in their change jar. In this video, I'll show you why some coins are so rare, the wild mistakes or errors that make them valuable, and the most famous coins in American history that sold for jaw-dropping amounts. So grab your favorite drink, because we're going deep into the stories, mysteries, and shocking values of America's rarest coins. And hey, who knows, maybe you've had one sitting in your pocket all along. Okay, so before we start talking about million-dollar pennies and rare silver dollars, let's first understand what actually makes a coin rare. There are a few big reasons. Number 1. Low mintage. Sometimes the US Mint didn't make very many coins of a certain type or year. If only a few survive today, collectors will fight over them. Number 2. Errors. This is where the real fun begins. Imagine a coin being struck off-center, or with the wrong metal, or with doubled letters. Mistakes like this slip past quality control and enter circulation, and suddenly, collectors go crazy for them. Number 3. Historical events. Sometimes coins become rare because of big changes in history. For example, in 1965, the US stopped making dimes, quarters, and half dollars out of silver, switching to a cheaper metal that instantly made older silver coins more collectible. And finally, survival rate. Even if millions of a certain coin were made, most of them might have been melted down, lost, or destroyed. If only a handful still exist, they become super valuable. Here's a great example: the 1913 Liberty Head nickel. Only 5 were ever struck, just 5. And today, each one is worth millions. Imagine having a nickel that could buy you a house. Alright, now let's get into era coins, one of the most exciting parts of coin collecting. When we hear the word error, we usually think of mistakes. But in the world of coins, errors can mean big money. Here are some of the most famous US error coins. First up, the 1955 double die penny. This is probably the most famous era cent. If you look closely at the date, 1955, and the word Liberty, they look doubled, like you're seeing double vision. This happened because the coin die was misaligned during production. Today, a nice example can sell for over $10,000. It's not bad for a 1-cent piece. Next, we have the 1937 D3-legged Buffalo nickel. This one is hilarious. The mint accidentally overpolished the die, and in the process, the poor buffalo on the back lost one of its legs. So it looks like it's standing on just 3. Collectors love it, and even worn versions can sell for thousands. Then there's the legendary 1943 copper penny. During World War II, the mint switched to making pennies out of steel because copper was needed for bullets and war supplies. But a few copper blanks accidentally got stuck in the presses. These 1943 copper pennies are some of the most famous era coins ever. One sold for over $1.7 million at auction. Can you imagine finding that in your piggy bank? There are also other types of errors to look for. Off-center strikes are coins that weren't centered correctly when struck, so part of the design is missing. The more off-center it is, the more collectors tend to pay. Then you have wrong planchette errors. This is when a coin gets struck on the wrong metal, for example, a dime struck on a penny blank. These are incredibly rare, and collectors go crazy for them. Finally, look for clipped planchettes. Sometimes the blank discs used to make coins overlap when they're being cut, leaving a clipped section missing. These mistakes are fun to find, and while not always super valuable, they can fetch some nice premiums. Now that we know what makes coins rare, and we've seen some of the craziest errors, let's dive into specific coins by type, from pennies all the way up to gold coins. And trust me, some of these stories are absolutely unbelievable. Let's start small with the humble penny. You might think a 1-cent coin couldn't possibly be worth much, but some U.S. pennies are among the most valuable coins in the world. Here are a few of the most famous ones to keep an eye out for. First is the 1909's VDB Lincoln cent. This was the very first year of the Lincoln cent. On the bottom of the reverse side, the designer, Victor David Brenner, put his initials VDB, but the mint thought this was too bold, almost like free advertising, so they quickly removed them. In San Francisco, only about 484,000 were struck with the VDB initials before the change was made. That makes the 1909 SVDB one of the most iconic pennies, worth anywhere from $800 to over $3,000, depending on its condition. Next, the 1914D Lincoln cent, minted in Denver. This penny is scarce simply because very few survived in good condition over the years. Collectors consider it one of the key dates for any Lincoln cent collection, and a nice one can bring in between $5,000 and $15,000. Then there's the 1922 No D penny. This one is fascinating. In 1922, the Denver Mint was the only mint producing pennies, but on some of the coins, the D mint mark either wore off the die or just wasn't struck clearly. So a few pennies exist from that year with no mint mark at all. Collectors call it the No D penny, and it's worth thousands. And of course, the 1943 copper penny. We talked about this one earlier in the era section, but it absolutely deserves repeating. Almost all 1943 pennies were made of steel to save copper for the war effort, but a few copper ones slipped through the cracks. Today, a genuine 1943 copper penny can sell for anywhere from $200,000 to over $1 million. Finally, the 1955 double die penny. This error penny is legendary. If you ever spot one of these in your change, you've hit the jackpot. Even worn examples can bring in thousands of dollars. So yeah, don't ever underestimate the penny. It might just be valuable enough to buy you a house. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more coin collecting adventures. See you in the next video. After hearing all those incredible stories, you might be wondering, why do some coins even become so rare in the first place? It's a great question, and it's not just about how many were made. There are a few major reasons, and they're all tied to history. First up is melting and destruction. Throughout history, governments and even regular people have melted down millions of coins for their precious metal content. Think about it. When the price of silver skyrocketed in the late 1970s and early 1980s, people were literally taking bags of old silver coins to be melted down for a quick profit. This act alone destroyed countless older quarters, dimes, and half dollars from before 1965, instantly making the surviving coins much rarer. The same thing happened with gold coins. Whenever the value of the metal inside the coin became worth more than its face value, a massive melt was almost guaranteed. So, a coin's rarity is often a story of survival against the furnace. Then, there are the happy accidents and monumental mistakes. Some of the most valuable coins in the world were never even supposed to exist. Take the legendary 1913 Liberty Head nickel, for example. The mint had already switched to the Buffalo nickel design, but a handful of these Liberty Head nickels were mysteriously struck. Or consider the 1964D Peace dollar. It was authorized and struck, but then Congress reversed the decision, and nearly all of them were ordered to be destroyed. The few that are rumored to have escaped are now considered priceless, phantom coins. These mistakes at the mint, or experimental pieces that sneak out, can become the holy grails of coin collecting simply because they defied the odds and survived. Economic changes also play a massive role. Big, sweeping government decisions can turn common coins into rarities overnight. The most famous example is President Roosevelt's gold recall of 1933. In an effort to stabilize the economy during the Great Depression, the government ordered citizens to turn in almost all of their gold coins. Most were melted down into gold bars to sit in Fort Knox. The very few gold coins from that era that escaped this massive recall like the 1933 Double Eagle, are now among the most valuable coins on the planet. Similarly, when the U.S. stopped putting silver in its circulating coins in 1965, it instantly created a dividing line. Every coin before that date became a potential collector's item, and people started hoarding them, pulling them out of circulation forever. Finally, there's the simple factor of a low survival rate. Even if a mint produced millions of a certain coin, you have to remember what coins are for. They're meant to be spent. Over decades, they get passed from hand to hand, get worn down, scratched, lost between couch cushions, or buried in a field. Think of a coin from 100 years ago. Most of the original mintage is long gone or worn so badly you can barely read the date. So, if only a tiny fraction of the original number still exists in good collectible condition, that small population of survivors becomes incredibly rare and valuable. It's not just about how many were made, but how many are left. So, the next time you hold an old coin, remember, its rarity isn't just a number on a page. It's a testament to its journey through history, its survival against the odds, and maybe just a little bit of pure luck. Now let's talk about something really practical. What does all this mean for you as a collector or maybe even an investor? How can you get started in this fascinating world? First and most importantly, check your change. I know it sounds cliché, but it's true. Rare and valuable coins still pop up in circulation all the time. People inherit coin jars from their grandparents or find old collections and, not knowing what they have, just spend them at face value. I'm talking about old silver coins, wheat pennies, and especially error coins. Always keep an eye out for anything that looks a little different. It costs you nothing but a few seconds of your time, and the payoff could be huge. My second tip is to learn to spot errors. This is where collecting gets really fun. Errors happen when something goes wrong during the minting process. You might find a double die where the design looks like it was stamped twice, slightly offset, or an off-center strike where the coin wasn't lined up properly. You could even find a clipped planchette where the coin looks like it has a bite taken out of it, because the blank disc it was stamped on was incomplete. These aren't damaged coins. They're valuable minting mistakes. The more you train your eye to spot these oddities, the better your chances of finding a hidden gem that others would overlook. Tip number 3 is crucial for anyone with a potentially valuable coin. Get it graded. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A rare coin in poor, worn-out condition might be worth a few $100s. But the exact same coin in pristine mint state condition could be worth tens of thousands, or even more. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC will authenticate your coin, grade its condition on a scale of 1 to 70, and seal it in a protective case. This slab not only preserves the coin, but also gives it a certified grade that maximizes its value and makes it much easier to sell. Tip number 4 is a word of caution. Watch out for fakes. Sadly, wherever there's big money, there are counterfeits. This is especially true for high-value gold and silver coins. The best way to protect yourself is to always buy from reputable, well-known dealers or established auction houses. If a deal online seems too good to be true, it probably is. Educate yourself on the key markers of genuine coins and be skeptical of any private seller offering $1 million coin for a bargain bin price. And finally, my fifth and most important tip: collect what you love. At the end of the day, coin collecting should be fun. Yes, some coins are worth life-changing money, but the vast majority of collectors are in it for the history, the art, and the simple thrill of the hunt. Find a series you think is beautiful, or collect coins from a period of history that fascinates you. From common-looking pennies that are worth more than a sports car, to nickels that were never supposed to be made. 2 gold coins that shattered world records at auction each, and every one of these coins tells a powerful story. It's a story of history, of strange mistakes, of incredible survival, and of a value that goes far, far beyond the number stamped on its face. What I personally love most about coins is that they read like little time machines you can hold in your hand. They carry the history of wars, of presidents, of economic booms and busts, and of the everyday lives of people who used them long ago. And the fact that some of these tiny, humble pieces of metal can be worth millions of dollars. Well, that just makes the hunt all the more exciting, doesn't it? So the next time you get some change at the grocery store or find a penny on the sidewalk, take a closer look. Pause for just a second, 'cause you never know, you just might be holding a forgotten piece of history, a lottery ticket in your pocket. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins, do me a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe for more adventures into history and collectibles. And share this video with a friend who might appreciate it. And always remember, sometimes the smallest coin can carry the biggest story. Now let's talk about the big boy silver dollars. These are some of the most famous and valuable U.S. coins ever made, with stories that sound like they're straight out of a Hollywood movie. First up, the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar. This isn't just any old coin. It's the very first silver dollar ever issued by the United States. Imagine holding a piece of history from the earliest days of the nation. It's so significant that in 2013, a pristine example sold for over $10 million. That's right, $10 million. This sale made it one of the most expensive coins in the entire world. The flowing hair dollar set the standard for American currency, and its legacy is quite literally priceless. Next, we have a coin with a title, the 1804 draped bust dollar, also known as the King of American Coins. This one has a truly wild story. Even though the date on the coin says 1804, not a single one was actually struck in that year. Instead, they were secretly minted in the 1830s to be used as special diplomatic gifts for world leaders. Talk about a top-secret mission. Because of this strange origin, only 15 are known to exist today. Each one is a multi-million-dollar treasure. In fact, one of them sold for over $7 million. Owning one is like owning a piece of a government secret. Let's move on to a coin that, by all accounts, shouldn't even exist. The 1870 seated Liberty Dollar. When you look at the official mint documents from that year, there's no record of any silver dollars being produced in San Francisco. And yet, somehow, a few were struck. It's a numismatic ghost. We don't know exactly how or why they were made, which only adds to the mystery. Only about 9 examples are known to have survived, and finding one is like discovering a unicorn. As you can guess, each one is worth well over $1 million. Now, let's talk about a true fan favorite, a classic that many collectors dream of owning, the Morgan dollar. Minted from 1878 to 1921, these large, beautiful silver coins are iconic. While many dates are common and affordable, allowing anyone to start a collection, some are incredibly rare. The holy grail for many Morgan collectors is the 1893S. Only 100,000 were minted. At the San Francisco Mint that year, and due to circulation and later melting, far fewer survive today. Finding one in top condition is the challenge of a lifetime, and it can easily sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's the ultimate trophy for any serious Morgan enthusiast. Finally, we have one of the greatest what-if stories in all of us coin history, the 1964 Peace Dollar. This coin is the stuff of legend. In 1964, the Denver Mint struck over 300,000 Peace Dollars. The stage was set for their release, but then a decision was made to halt production. Congress ordered that none were ever to be released to the public, and the entire batch was supposedly melted down. But here's where it gets interesting. Rumors have persisted for decades that a few, maybe a handful, escaped the melting pot. Maybe an employee smuggled one out as a souvenir. To date, not a single one has ever been officially authenticated. But if one were to ever turn up, it would instantly become one of the most famous and valuable coins in the world, easily worth millions. From the very first dollar to the legendary coin that never was, silver dollars have some of the greatest stories, some of the highest price tags in U.S. coin history. Alright, now let's move on to the pinnacle of coin collecting, the absolute crown jewels of the hobby, U.S. gold coins. These are more than just money. They're works of art, symbols of wealth, and tangible links to some of the most dramatic moments in American history. We have to start with what is probably the most famous American coin of all time, the 1933 Double Eagle, a $20 gold piece. This coin story is incredible. In 1933, at the height of the Great Depression, President Franklin D. Roosevelt took the U.S. off the gold standard. He issued an executive order recalling all gold coins from the public to be melted down. Nearly 500,000 1933 Double Eagles were struck, but they were never officially issued. They were all supposed to be melted. But a few, maybe 20, escaped the melting pot. For decades, it was illegal to own one. Then, after a long legal battle, one was finally made legal to own. In 2021, that very coin sold at auction for a staggering $18.9 million. That is the highest price ever paid for a coin, making it the undisputed king of the collecting world. Next, we have a coin that many believe is the most beautiful ever made in America, the 1907 Ultra-High Relief St. Gaudens $20 gold coin. President Theodore Roosevelt wanted American coins to be works of art, so he commissioned the famous sculptor Augustus St. Gaudens to redesign them. St. Gaudens created a masterpiece with incredible detail and depths, so much detail, in fact, that the mint had extreme difficulty striking them. Each coin had to be struck multiple times just to bring up the design. Because it was so impractical for mass production, only about 20 were ever made in this stunning ultra-high relief. Today, they are considered masterpieces of numismatic art, and collectors will pay anywhere from hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars just to own one of these breathtakingly beautiful coins. Let's look at another fascinating piece of history, the $4 Stella gold coins. Minted in 1879 and 1880, these were experimental pattern coins. The idea was to create a coin that would be accepted in international trade, making it easier for Americans traveling or doing business in Europe. The name Stella comes from the star on the reverse. Unfortunately, the concept was never adopted, and the coins were never released for circulation. Only a few hundred were ever made as patterns to show to Congress. Because they were never officially issued and so few were produced, they are now extremely rare and highly sought after. They often sell for $200,000 to $500,000, representing a fascinating what-could-have-been moment in U.S. currency history. Gold coins are truly the ultimate status symbols in U.S. coin collecting. If you're lucky enough to own one of these rare pieces, you're not just holding money. You're holding a piece of American history and a small fortune right in the palm of your hand. All right, so we've gone through pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, half dollars, silver dollars, and even gold coins. But there's one last piece of the puzzle: why coins become rare in the first place, and what that means for collectors today. Let's break it down. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey through rare coins as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the world of valuable treasures. We'll see you in the next video. Now, let's move up to the nickel. You might think it's just 5 cents, but some are worth a fortune. First on our list is the 1913 Liberty Head nickel. This is one of the most famous coins in the entire world. Officially, the Liberty design was supposed to end in 1912, making way for the Buffalo nickel. But somehow, 5 Liberty nickels dated 1913 were struck, probably without authorization. For years, nobody even knew they existed. Now, each one is worth millions of dollars. In fact, one of them sold for a staggering $4.5 million back in 2018. Just imagine holding a single nickel that's worth more than a brand new Ferrari. It's the stuff of legends. Next, we have one we touched on earlier, but it's too good not to mention again, the 1937 D3-legged Buffalo nickel. This famous error occurred because a mint worker over-polished the die to remove some marks, accidentally erasing the buffalo's front leg in the process. The result is a buffalo that looks like it's standing on only 3 legs. Collectors absolutely love this error coin, and depending on its condition, it can bring in anywhere from $1,000 to $15,000. A fantastic find. Finally, let's talk about the 1942 to 1945 Silver War nickels. During World War II, the U.S. needed nickel for the war effort, for things like armor plating. So they removed nickel from the 5-cent coin. Yes, the irony is not lost on me. Instead, they used an alloy containing 35% silver. You can easily identify these coins because they have a large mint mark P, D, or S right above the Monticello building on the reverse. While many are still out there, uncirculated examples are highly collected and are always worth more than their face value because of their silver content. So while nickels don't always get the same attention as pennies or dollars, a few of them are absolutely legendary. Next up, the dime. It might be small, but it's mighty in the world of coin collecting. Let's start with a true giant, the 1894 S. Barber dime. Only 24 of these were ever minted at the San Francisco Mint. Can you believe that? Just 24. Today, it's believed that only about 9 of them have survived. Because of this incredible rarity, each one is worth millions of dollars. One sold for over $1.9 million back in 2007, and prices have only gone up. Many collectors refer to this coin as the holy grail of U.S. dimes. Another key date to hunt for is the 1916D. Mercury dime. What makes it so special? The Denver Mint produced only 264,000 of these in 1916. For a coin as widely used as the dime, that is a tiny mintage number. Because of that scarcity, it's one of the most sought-after coins of the 20th century. If you find one in good condition, you could be looking at a value between $10,000 and $200,000. It's the key to completing a Mercury dime collection and a true prize for any collector. And let's not forget about errors. The 1942-41 overdate Mercury dime is a fantastic example. This error happened when the mint accidentally punched the date 1942 over a die from the previous year, 1941. If you look very closely with a magnifying glass, you can actually see parts of the number 1 underneath the 2. These error dimes are incredibly valuable, often fetching between $5,000 and $30,000. So don't ever underestimate the humble dime. Some of them are worth more than a Lamborghini. Okay, let's talk about quarters. Everyone loves finding a quarter in their change, but some are worth way more than just 25 cents. Let's begin with the 1932D and 1932's Washington quarters. 1932 was the very first year the Washington quarter was produced, marking the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. That year, the mints in Denver and San Francisco made very few quarters, fewer than 500,000 each. Because of that low mintage, they are highly collectible and considered the key dates for the entire series. Depending on their condition, they can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now for a fascinating error, the 1965 Silver Error quarters. In 1965, the U.S. Mint made a major change, switching quarters from 90% silver to the copper-nickel-clad composition we see today. However, during this transition, a few leftover silver coin blanks, or planchettes, accidentally got struck with the 1965 date. So, if you find a 1965 quarter and it has a solid silver edge instead of the usual copper stripe, You found an error coin that could be worth thousands of dollars. Always check the edge of your 1965 quarters. Here, as a modern error you can still find in your pocket change, the 2004 Wisconsin Extra Leaf Quarter. This is part of the popular 50-state quarters program. On some of the quarters minted for Wisconsin, an error on the die created what looks like an extra leaf on the ear of corn on the reverse side. There are two main varieties, an extra high leaf and an extra low leaf. These errors slipped into circulation, and people have been finding them in their change ever since. Depending on the variety and condition, they can bring in anywhere from $50 to $1,500. Not bad for a coin you could get from a vending machine tomorrow. Now we've seen rare pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. But we're just getting started. Because the really big money, that comes when we start looking at half dollars, silver dollars, and gold coins. Some of these coins have sold for tens of millions of dollars. So let's keep going. All right, let's move up to the half dollar. These coins are big, bold, and some of them are incredibly rare. First, we have the 1794 flowing hair half dollar. This was one of the very first half dollars ever struck by the U.S. Mint. Back in the 1790s, minting technology was still pretty rough, so coins weren't always perfectly made, and not many have survived in good condition over the past 230 years. Today, collectors pay a fortune for them. A nice example can easily fetch tens of thousands of dollars or even more for high-grade specimens. Next is a coin that's truly legendary, the 1830 8-toe-capped bust half dollar. This one holds a special place in history. It was the very first half dollar struck at the brand new New Orleans Mint. It's believed that only about 20 of these were made as presentation pieces before the Mint officially began operations, and today only 9 are known to exist. With that kind of rarity, you can guess the value. Each one is worth well over $1 million. It's a numismatic treasure of the highest order. Finally, let's look at a more modern classic, the 1964 Kennedy half dollar, specifically the accented hair variety. When the Kennedy half dollar was first designed in a hurry after the president's assassination, the initial portrait by the engraver had very strong accented hair details above the ear. Jacqueline Kennedy apparently requested the design be softened, so most of these early proof coins were destroyed and the dies were changed. The few that survived are highly prized by collectors, who now pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars for these special early proofs. So ya don't ignore half dollars. They've got some seriously rare and valuable varieties hiding among them. Thank you so much for joining me on this treasure hunt through America's rare coins. If you enjoyed this journey, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video, where we dive into the world of silver dollars and gold coins. Happy hunting!
Imagine pulling a dusty old jar from your attic, dumping out handfuls of forgotten change, and spotting a shiny anomaly worth thousands. That's the magic of rare U.S. coin hunting. Hi, I'm your guide to America's hidden treasures. In this 1-hour deep dive, we'll uncover practical tips to find rare coins right in your pocket change, bank rolls, or even backyard digs. Did you know over 1 billion coins circulate daily in the U.S., and some are accidental gems from the 1800s still turning up today? Whether you're a newbie with a piggy bank or a seasoned collector, these tips drawn from experts at the American Numismatic Association and top dealers will boost your odds. We'll cover tools you'll need, hot spots for hunting, must-spot errors, specific high-value coins, buying smart, and preserving your finds. By the end, you'll be equipped to turn loose change into legacy wealth. Let's dive in. Your next big find could be tomorrow's headline. Before we hunt, let's decode rarity. A coin's value skyrockets from 4 pillars. Low mintage, fewer made equals rarer. Pristine condition, no scratches. High demand, popular designs like Lincoln Cents. And wow factor errors, mint mishaps. Pro tip number 1. Grab the official Red Book of United States Coins. It's your hunting Bible, listing mintages and key dates. For example, the 1909 SVDB Lincoln Cent had just 484,000 minted worth over $1,500 today, despite looking ordinary. Pro tip 2. Age alone doesn't guarantee treasure. A beat-up 1793 half-cent might fetch $500, but a fresh 1955 double-die penny, it could be worth up to $100,000. Focus on condition grading. Use the PCGS or NGC scales, which run from 1 to 70. Anything over 60 is considered uncirculated gold. Here's a quick story. In 2023, a Michigan family found a 1913 Liberty Head nickel in their grandma's jar. It was minted secretly and is now valued at $4 million. Rarity is relative. Hunt smart, not just old. No fancy gear needed. You can start with the basics. Pro tip number 3. Invest in a 10x loop magnifier. For about $10, you can get one that will help you spot tiny doublings and other mint errors. Add coin albums, sorting trays, and gloves to your kit to avoid fingerprints, which can ruin a coin's value. Pro tip number 4. Download free apps like PCGS and Fax for instant identification. You can scan a coin and get value estimates on the spot. I also highly recommend joining local coin clubs through the American Numismatic Association's website, ana.org, for swaps and insider tips. Here's a prep hack. Sort your coins by denomination first. Check pennies for errors, and dimes and quarters dated before 1965 for silver. Those are 90% pure and can have a melt value of $4 or more at current spot prices. A quick safety note: if you're metal detecting, which is a great bonus hunt spot, make sure to get permits for any public lands you plan to search. Your total starter kit can be under $50, but the return on investment could be infinite. So, let's gear up and get ready for the hunt. Alright, let us dive into the easiest and most exciting part of coin collecting: hunting in your everyday change. The first place to look. Yep, your own pocket or purse. Let's make this a habit. Pro tip number 5. Raid those change jars. Set a weekly reminder to sort through everything you've collected. It takes just a few minutes and you'll be amazed at what you might find. Ready to scale up your hunt? It's time to hit the banks. This is where the real fun begins. You can walk into most banks and ask to buy rolls of coins, like a $10 roll of quarters, for their exact face value. Take them home, search through them for treasures, and then you can simply return the ones you don't want. No cost to you, just a little bit of time. So, what are we looking for? Pro tip number 6 is a big one. Silver. Specifically, you want to hunt for dimes, quarters, and half dollars minted before 1965. Here's the secret trick: the edge test. Look at the side of the coin. If you see a solid silver stripe with no copper brown line, you've likely found silver. Depending on the current price of silver, even a common silver dime can be worth $5, and halves can be $20 or more. A hot strategy that pros use is to ask for customer-wrapped rolls, often called CWRS. These are rolls that people have brought into the bank themselves, not machine-wrapped ones. They often untouched gold mines because they can come from old family collections or piggy banks that haven't been searched in decades. If you're going through a lot of coins, a simple coin counting machine can be a huge time saver. And don't think this is just a fantasy. Just this year, a Reddit user found a 1969 double-die penny from a vending machine change return. That coin is valued at over $35,000. A little daily effort, maybe 30 minutes while you watch TV, can lead to some truly surprising finds. Now, for the part you've all been waiting for. Let us count down the top 10 specific coins and errors you should be hunting for in your change right now. These are the superstars. Coming in at number 1 is the holy grail of modern coins, the 1969 double-die Lincoln Cent. To spot it, look for dramatic doubling on the entire front of the coin. The words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" will look extremely thick and separated. In good condition, This coin can be worth over $40,000. Number 2 is the 1970S Small Date Double Die Cent. On this one, look for a weak liberty and a 7 in the date that sits level with the other numbers. This error can fetch around $3,500. At number 3, we have the 1972 Double Die Cent. This one is easier to spot. Look for strong doubling on all the letters, especially for a distinct gouge-like mark just above the D in United. That's a quick $500 find. Number 4 is a modern classic, the 200 Wisconsin Extra Leaf Quarter. Look closely at the ear of corn on the reverse. You're searching for a small, extra leaf pointing down on the lower left side. Find one, and you're looking at $200 to $300. Halfway through at number 5 is the 1999 Wide AM cent. Flip it over and look at the word America. On the rare version, the A and M will be clearly separated, unlike the common version where they almost touch. This small detail can make that penny worth up to $600. Number 6 is the 1980 No Mint Mark Roosevelt dime. This was a mistake made at the Philadelphia Mint, which wasn't supposed to use a mint mark. Some dimes were accidentally struck without one. Look for a blank space under the date where the P should be. This error is worth $30 to $50. At number 7, we have the presidential dollar edge lead earring errors. Check the rim of these gold-colored dollars. The date and mottos are supposed to be inscribed there. If they're missing, doubled, or messed up in any way, you found an error worth anywhere from $50 to $3,000. Number 8 is another penny, the 1995 Double Die Cent. The doubling is most obvious on the word trust, where the letters appear very thick. This is a more common find, but still worth an easy $20 to $40 in uncirculated condition. Coming in at number 9 is something a bit different, uncirculated state quarters. Early releases like Georgia and Connecticut can be valuable if you find them in pristine, original bank-wrapped rolls. A single roll can be worth $20 to $50 to the right collector. And finally, at number 10, we have the classics we mentioned earlier, any pre-1965 silver half dollars. Just check the date and the edge. Their value starts at their silver melt price, which is at least $5, and goes up from there. So, pro tip number 7. Remember that errors rule. Most double dies are caused by a misalignment during the die-making process. To spot these subtle details, get yourself a small magnifying glass, maybe 6 times magnification, and use good, bright lighting. Besides errors, keep an eye out for low mintage key dates, like the 1950D Jefferson nickel, which can be worth over $25. Focus your hunts on pennies and nickels for errors, and quarters for silver and state varieties. Remember that $1 and change sitting in your car could hold a $1,000 treasure. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this inspires you to start your own treasure hunt. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next adventure. Happy hunting! So, you found a few keepers. Awesome, but that's just the start. Now, let's level up your game with some advanced tips. Pro tip number 8. Know where to buy. My advice: stick to trusted dealers. Look for members of the American Numismatic Association, or ANA, and the Professional Numismatist Guild, or PNG. Coin shows are fantastic for finding deals and seeing coins in person. Be cautious on platforms like eBay while there are scams. Fakes are out there. If a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Pro tip 9. Join the community. Don't go it alone. Local coin clubs are treasure troves of knowledge and friendly faces. Online, forums like Reddit's are coin collecting are buzzing with enthusiasts ready to share tips and trade. When you're starting out, set clear goals. I'd suggest building a typeset, like one of every US quarter design, rather than chasing high-profit investments. It's more fun and less pressure. And finally, pro tip 10. Preserve your collection like a pro. Your biggest enemy is the environment. Use archival quality storage materials. That means acid-free albums, flips, or slabs. Keep your collection in a cool, dark, and dry place. Humidity is not your friend. If you think you've found a truly valuable coin, consider getting it professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC. It costs a bit, but it authenticates and protects your coin's value. Remember, rarity is relative. The most important thing is to collect what brings you joy, not just what might make you a profit. And that's a wrap. We've journeyed from the basics of rarity to hunting down that elusive 1969's double-die penny in a roll of pocket change. Let's do a quick recap. First, get your tools ready. A good magnifying glass and a coin guide are essential. Second, hunt everywhere from bank rolls to old family jars. Third, learn to spot those valuable errors and varieties. Fourth, when you are ready to buy, do it smartly from trusted sources. And fifth, protect your finds with proper storage. The biggest takeaway: start small. You don't need a huge budget to begin. Your next great find could be sitting in your pocket right now. That quarter from your morning coffee could be worth hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars. The thrill in the hunt. So, what's the best coin you've ever found? Drop a comment below and share your story. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this guide and want more treasure hunting adventures, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. For official release schedules and events, check out the US Mint's website. Thank you so much for watching. America's hidden treasures are out there waiting for you. Happy hunting. Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. If you've ever dreamt of finding a hidden treasure, you're in the right place. Picture this. It's a crisp autumn afternoon, and you're rummaging through your grandma's attic. You stumble upon a dusty old mason jar, and inside, a single coin clinks with promise. You pull it out, and it turns out to be a game changer, worth 5 figures. Sound like a fantasy? Well, welcome to the 2025 coin rush, where everyday Americans just like you are striking gold in their change jars, at estate sales, and even in their own pockets. I'm your guide on this treasure hunt, and over the next hour and a half, we're going to embark on an incredible adventure together. We'll arm you with time-tested strategies and the hottest, most up-to-date intel for 2025. You might be wondering, why 2025? What makes this year so special? Well, the coin market is absolutely booming. Just think about the legendary king of American coins, an 1804 silver dollar. One was recently unearthed from a grandfather's old collection and is set to hit the auction block this December for millions. And it's not just about million-dollar coins. Billions of coins are still circulating out there, hiding valuable errors and key dates from decades past. Whether you're a seasoned pro, sifting through pocket change, or an attic archaeologist just starting out, these strategies backed by experts from the American Numismatic Association and recent reports from Coin Week will make your hunts epic. We'll start with the fundamentals, get you kitted out with the right gear, dive into everyday circulation finds, pinpoint the top targets and errors, explore advanced strategies, and then wrap it all up with the freshest scoops for 2025 and your personal action plan. So grab your loop, get comfortable, and let's get started. Fortune favors the bold, and our adventure begins now. Alright, let's kick things off with the basics. What actually makes a coin rare and valuable? Think of it like a bonfire. Rarity is the spark that gets it all started. This spark comes from a combination of low mintage, meaning not many were made, and high condition, meaning the coin is well preserved. When these two factors meet a strong demand from collectors, you get a roaring fire of value. Now, 2025 is adding some serious fuel to that fire. With recent economic shifts, the value of precious metals like silver has been climbing. This makes hunting for pre-1965 dimes, quarters, and half dollars, which are made of 90% silver, hotter than ever. Here's your first pro tip for the year. Grab the 2025 edition of a guidebook of United States coins, often called the Red Book. It's your Bible for this hobby, listing updated mintages for every coin. It'll help you spot gems like the 2019 W Lowell quarter. Only 2 million of these were struck, and even a circulated one can fetch over, ready to turn your spare change into serious cash. Let's dive into the world of circulation hunting, your personal, free-to-play treasure casino. My first pro tip for you: head to your local bank and ask for customer-wrapped rolls, or CWRS. Just $20 worth of pennies each week can be a gold mine. When you're done, just return the wrappers. Most banks won't even charge you a fee. Now, how do you spot silver in your change? Here's a quick test. Any dime or quarter dated before 1965 is 90% silver. You can tell by the edge it won't have that copper stripe. Another trick is the ring test. A silver coin makes a high-pitched, bell-like sound when you drop it, unlike the dull thud of a modern coin. With the way silver prices are projected to rally, even a single pre-1965 dime could be worth over $4 in melt value alone by next year. It's a simple, effective way to find hidden value, but your hunt doesn't have to stop at the bank. The biggest treasures are often hiding right in your own home. According to recent guides, 1 in every 12 addicts could be hiding a forgotten coin collection. Think old mason jars in the basement, shoeboxes tucked under a bed, or that dusty coffee can in the garage. These are the places where people stashed their change decades ago, often forgetting about valuable silver coins or rare dates. And it's not just folklore. Just last year, someone on social media posted about finding a 1912 Liberty Head nickel tucked away in their couch cushions. That's a $200 find from just cleaning the living room. Expand your search by checking out local estate sales, which you can easily find on Facebook Marketplace. These are hot spots for untouched collections. If you want to scale up your daily hunting, think about places with high cash turnover, like vending machines or local laundromats. A consistent 45 minutes of searching each day can dramatically increase your odds of finding something incredible. Okay, let's get to the good stuff, the crown jewels of coin hunting. I've updated my list to the top 15 coins and errors you should be looking for in 2025. Coming in at number 1 is still the legendary 1969S double die Lincoln cent. Look for strong doubling on the words Liberty and In God We Trust. A high-grade example can fetch over $50,000. Number 2 is the 1970S small date cent, identified by its low, level 7 in the date. This one can be worth up to $4,000. Next up, the 1972 double die cent. This one is easier to spot. Look for significant doubling on all the letters. It's a classic that can bring in around $600. At number 4, we have the 200 Wisconsin extra leaf quarter. Check the back for a small extra leaf on the ear of corn. It's a modern error worth about $300. And rounding out our top 5 is the 1999 Wide AM Lincoln cent. On the reverse, look for extra space between the A and M in America. This subtle error could be worth $600, but the list doesn't stop there. Keep an eye out for the 1980 to no mint mark Roosevelt dime, a rare transitional error worth around $50. Presidential dollar coins with missing edge lettering can be valued up to $3,000. The 1995 double die cent shows thick doubling on In God We Trust and can net you about $40. And don't overlook uncirculated state quarter rolls. A pristine roll of a popular design can be worth $50 or more. Finally, always check the edges of $half for the silver shine of pre-1965 coins, which are worth at least $5 each. Now for our 2025 editions. First, the 2019 W Lowell National Historical Park quarter. These were the first quarters released with the W mint mark from West Point and had a very low mintage. In mint state, they're already fetching around $75. Next, of course, are wheat pennies, minted from 1909 to 1958. Pay close attention to key dates, and remember those wild rumors about the 1943 bronze cent, potentially worth over $100,000. Also, Be on the lookout for 40% silver Kennedy half dollars. Minted from 1965 to 1969. They have about $4 in melt value, but can sell for over $20 in choice condition. Don't forget paper money. A 1976 $2 bill with a star at the end of its serial number can be worth $50 in uncirculated condition. And for our final spot, the mythical 1804 draped bust dollar. While you're almost certain to only ever find a replica, it's crucial to know what it is so you can report fakes. Spotting errors often just requires a magnifying glass and good lighting to see die shifts and doubling. As you start finding valuable coins, you need to know how to level up your hobby. My advice is to build relationships with reputable coin dealers. A great place to start is at a major coin show, like the one in Texas every September. Look for dealers who are members of the Professional Numismatists Guild, or PNG. If you're buying on eBay, always verify pricier coins with grading services like NGC. Community is also key. The Coin Collecting subreddit is a fantastic resource with active threads discussing the latest W Mint quarter hunts. You can also join a local club through the American Numismatic Association's website to trade and learn from fellow collectors. And please learn to preserve your finds correctly. Always use cotton gloves to handle pristine coins and store them in inert albums. Whatever you do, do not clean your coins. It can slash their value by up to 90%. For truly big finds, consider submitting them to a grading service like PCGS. It's a small fee for authentication and protection. So, what's new and exciting for 2025? The market is buzzing. There was a recent report of an authentic 1804 dollar found in a grandfather's old collection. It's now heading to a December auction with an estimate of over $10 million. That's the dream. YouTubers are also sharing major success stories, with some selling collections of era coins for $100,000. The attic raid trend is real, with people reporting six-figure hauls from old coffee cans. One new trend is finding old wheat pennies inside rolls of 40% silver. Kennedy has a fantastic double dip. Experts are predicting that Liberty Head nickels and Morgan silver dollars will continue to surge in value, potentially rising by another 25%. And people on social media still sharing incredible stories, like finding 1912 nickels in estate sales and digging up 1878 Morgan dollars on the beach. Here's a hot tip. Watch the 2020 W quarters. They're currently trading under $100, but some analysts predict they could hit $500 by 2026. The time to hunt is now. You now have the map to your own treasure hunt. You're ready to gear up. Search those coin rolls, spot those valuable W Mint quarters, and preserve your finds like a pro. Your adventure starts today. Raid that change jar, hit the bank for some rolls, and share what you find. I want to see your success. Post your best discoveries in the comments below, and use the hashtag #CoinHunt20to5 on your social media. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to stay updated on the latest coin hunting tips and market news, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Now go on. Your treasure is calling. Answer it. Envision this. It's October 30th, 2025. You're sifting through a forgotten trunk in your granddad's attic. Dust motes dancing in the lamplight. A glint catches your eye. It's not just another coin. It's a 1913 Liberty Head nickel, the king of coins, whispering fortunes from a bygone era. That, my friends, is the heart-pounding thrill of the 2025 rare U.S. coin quest. It's a world where hidden gems, tucked away in dusty jars and everyday pocket change, are rewriting family legacies as we speak. I'm your quest master, and over these next epic hours, we'll forge your path to discovery. This isn't just about collecting, it's about unearthing history you can hold in your hand. And believe me, this year, the hunt is on fire. Auctions are ablaze. In 1933, St. Gaudens Double Eagle just smashed all previous records, fetching a staggering $18.9 million. But it's not just the high rollers making news. Everyday hunters, People just like you are unearthing 1943 copper pennies worth well into six figures. Think about it. Billions of coins are circulating right now, and a surprising number of them are laced with valuable errors and key date rarities. We've gathered the most potent intelligence from the masters from the sages at the American Numismatic Association to the latest dispatches from CoinWeek. We're packing these proven tactics with exclusive 2025 breakthroughs to give you the ultimate edge. Together, we'll build your foundations, get you kitted out with the right gear, and then dive headfirst into the hunt. We'll raid circulation stashes, target the elite coins, master pro-level strategies, and take a deep dive into this year's biggest market shocks. So saddle up, fellow treasure seekers. The treasures of 2025 won't wait forever. Alright, let's lay the groundwork. To master this quest, you need to understand the four pillars of a coin's value: mintage, condition, demand, and those delightful little mistakes we call errors. Mintage is simple supply and demand, how many were made. Condition is key. The closer to perfection, the higher the price. Demand is what collectors are clamoring for right now. And errors. That's the mint's mayhem creating accidental masterpieces. But here's the 2025 game changer. The economic landscape is shifting the board. Silver prices are up a whopping 20% this year alone, which is turbocharging the hunt for any US coin minted before 1965. Suddenly, that old jar of dimes and quarters looks a whole lot shinier. Here's pro tip number 1, and it's non-negotiable. Get the 2025 edition of the Red Book. This is your grimoire, your treasure map. It flags all the risers and sleepers. A perfect example is the 2019 W Lowell quarter minted in a tiny quantity. It's now fetching over $100 in top condition. The Red Book puts that intel right at your fingertips. Now for pro tip number 2. Learn to think like a professional grader. We use the PCGS 1:70 scale. A coin graded 1 is barely identifiable, while a 70 is a flawless specimen. For modern coins, you're chasing those MS67 and higher grades for the real moonshots. To give you some perspective, a battered, well-loved 1794 flowing hair dollar might bring you $15,000. Not bad, but find a pristine, mint state example. You're looking at over $2 million. Condition is everything. The 2025 edge, the trend you need to jump on right now, is wheat cents. These pennies, minted from 1909 to 1958, are absolutely exploding in popularity. Hoarders and savvy collectors are snapping up key dates, and some complete sets are flipping for $500 or more. Let me tell you a quick tale from the trail to prove it. A story broke on Reddit back in March of 2025. A family was cleaning out an old barn in Pennsylvania. Tucked away in a corner, they found old crates filled with canvas bags of wheat cents. They almost recycled them for the copper value. But they did some research, realized what they had, and that hoard ended up fetching over $50,000. This is happening right now. Keep your eyes sharp, because rarity is alive and well, waiting to be found.